Most moms think that eating real food means cooking from scratch every single night. But the truth, tiny swaps make some of the biggest differences that you can have. If your pantry's healthy-ish, but dinner still feels like an uphill climb, this one is for you. Because I used to stand in my kitchen at dinner time, my fridge half open. I had some maybe half defrosted chicken in one hand, and my kids were asking what's for dinner. And I would think to myself, why does this always feel so hard? So I would scroll Pinterest, type easy dinners, and 45 minutes later, I had nothing but a trail of open tabs and a more slightly irritated mood. Then one night, I started flipping over my jars of pasta sauce, and I noticed that there were 12 grams of added sugar in spaghetti sauce. And I literally laughed out loud, and I was like, okay, well, that explains why we all crash after dinner. And this is when it clicked. It wasn't about cooking from scratch. It was more about awareness. Knowing what was in our food and making it simple, knowing what was in our food and making simple swaps that didn't cost me more time or sanity. So today I'm going to walk you through 5 real food dinner swaps that cut dinner time in half without making you hate your kitchen. This is video 4 in my Dinner Chaos to Calm series. And by the end, you'll see exactly why, you'll see exactly how to make dinner feel, you'll see exactly how to make dinner feel doable in real life, not just a Pinterest life. Because here's what nobody tells you. You don't need to be a better cook. You just need better systems and a little less pressure to do it all perfectly. The first time I really started reading labels, I literally was like, my gosh. And this was a jar of pasta sauce. And it said, made with real tomatoes. But I flipped it over and I realized it had more sugar than maybe some desserts. And it wasn't just the sauce. It was other things like cereal and dressings and even things like bread and definitely yogurt. I realized I had been buying marketing, not food. And that's when I stopped really focusing on the front and started caring about what was on the back and the ingredients, along with calories. Calories just tell you how much, but ingredients tell you what kind. And that what kind determines your energy, your hormones, and how you're going to feel on your jeans by Friday. And once I saw that, I didn't go all in and overhaul my pantry. I just started with one swap and then another. And honestly, that's the part that most moms miss. We fail because we don't fail because we don't care. We fail because we try to fix everything all at once. Which brings me to the first swap that started it all. Let's start with pasta night. I used to grab whatever jar looked healthy. You know, the ones with the leaves and the rustic fonts. But now I flip it over and I actually check the ingredients. Tomatoes, olive oil, and herbs. That's it. Okay? I will still make pasta that likely looks different now too. I pick ingredients that are literally organic wheat pasta, or a lot of times I will pick something with a little bit of protein. My new favorite is Brahmi protein pasta, or I'll use a chickpea pasta, right? But I'll boil the noodles, I'll do warm sauce, and I'll toss in some chicken, right? You got to have the E from the easy plate. So eat your chicken so I'll toss in some leftover chicken because you have to have your E when I talk about my easy plate, and that's your protein, right? You have to eat your protein, or some frozen veggies, right? It's the same meal, it's the same time, but this version doesn't leave me feeling puffy and drained. A tiny win that truly adds up fast. And once you start to see the difference, you're going to start noticing it everywhere. Because when you know better, you cook faster and you don't have second guessing and guilt. And speaking of things that look easy but aren't, let's talk about taco night. So I used to just grab one of those taco packets, right, and dump it in and realize that it was like really bright orange. They were convenient, but I realized my tacos tasted very fake. So now I keep a little jar with my own mix of chili powder, cumin, garlic, onion powder, and some paprika. It takes 60 seconds to shake together, and it's much fresher. And here's the thing. Convenience isn't the enemy, but you have to decide what convenience looks like for you. And that's what shifted everything for me. And while we're confessing some shortcuts, can we talk about Pinterest for just a second? Every easy dinner that I had pinned had 14 ingredients, cast iron skillet, and 30 steps. And by the time I found one that looked doable, it was 7 p.m. and the kids were pretty much just raiding the pantry to figure out what we had. So that's when I said, okay, real food has to fit our life because healthy shouldn't require a part-time job. And that leads right into the swap that saves me sanity on weeknights: frozen or pre-chopped veggies. You know, the nights where your practices are running late, your homework is piling up, and your kids are having a meltdown, or someone needs a ride somewhere. That's when frozen or pre-chopped veggies will save me. I'll grab some stir-fry mix from Costco, toss it in over a hot pan, add whatever protein I had prepped. So if you've watched the videos previously, you know that I batch prep protein, and that could look like chicken, ground beef, or some shrimp. And then 10 minutes later, dinner can be ready. Still real food, still good nutrients, still follows my easy plate, and less chaos. But also fewer dishes staring at me afterward because there are not 15 steps and a ton of ingredients. Real food can live in your freezer. So if this already feels a little bit lighter, I want you to grab my 5 Days to Confident Food Choices challenge. The link is below, and it's going to help you find your own easy swaps that will actually stick with. And if you want to build these habits with other women too, that's exactly what we do inside the Real Food. And if you want to build these habits with other women doing it too, that's exactly what we do inside the Real Food Made Easy Collective. Okay, next up is the sneakiest time stealer of all, the flavored side. You know, those buttery garlic explosion rice packets. Yeah, at one point I used to love them. They had a major chokehold on me. In fact, I loved the mushroom ones. And now I just cook in plain rice. And I will add whatever we're eating over that. And maybe I'll drizzle some olive oil for the S in my easy plate, support with your fat if I need to, or I'll sprinkle it with some sea salt and herbs. And it's still fast. It tastes better. And I know that I'm not getting some artificially flavored food. Plain doesn't have to mean boring. It actually means flexible. And flexible is what lets you repeat it without getting bored. That's how consistency sneaks in quietly. Quietly, meal after meal. And that brings me to the tiniest swap that made the biggest difference. I used to think that bottle dressing was a time saver until I realized how heavy it made me feel after. So now I just make my own. I whisk in some olive oil, maybe some lemon or some balsamic, right? And some herbs and spices, shake it up and call it good. Takes me 2 minutes, has no junk and no sugar, which it takes me 2 minutes, has zero junk and no sugar, which you'd be surprised how much salad dressing has sugar in it, and it tastes good. Real food doesn't have to take more time. Real food doesn't have to take more time. But here's what made me almost quit trying altogether. I've done the new me week, right? Grab all my groceries, get my labeled containers, and then by Thursday, I'm so tired and my dishes are piled and half the food is slimy in my fridge. I would quit, I'd feel guilty, and just say I can't stick with it. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know the truth. You didn't fail, but the plan really truly failed you. Because real life needs grace and not perfection, and that's why these small swaps work. Because they bend with your schedule instead of breaking you when life hits hard. And once I really embraced that, everything got so much easier. And then something unexpected happened. My oldest would love to cook dinner, like full on cooking. My kids also check ingredients. They look at labels and they say, yep, this doesn't look the best, and they'll put it back. And so there are two things that really help, all came about just by doing these small things a little bit at a time. So my kids don't just eat better, but they actually understand it. They know what real food looks like, and more importantly, how they feel when they eat it. And that's when I realized this was never just about dinner. It was about modeling confidence in real life. You don't need a full overhaul. In fact, I never recommend it. You just need one swap this week. So when you look at your pasta sauces, pick something that doesn't have sugar. Check the ingredients. Make sure that you know what's in it. If you are making taco night, switch your taco packet out and make your own mix. If you're having frozen veggies, then just throw them with your side because it makes it easier. And change those flavored sides for making something on your own and add in your own real flavor. Skip the bottle dressing and make a quick vinaigrette. Just start with one, celebrate it and repeat it because that is real progress. And that's exactly why I created Real Food Made Easy. Because eating well doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be possible. And when it's easy to repeat, it's easy to sustain. And that's what we practice together inside the Real Food Made Easy Collective. You're not just saving time at dinner, you're building confidence that spills over into everything else. So now that you've got swaps that actually save time, now that you've got the swaps that actually save time, the next video goes in deeper into why this really matters and how I created Real Food Made Easy. Watch that one right here.